Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. This is another episode of the Gossip Column. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the video. This one is about Tottenham Hotspur, and are they ready to sell several key players to bolster their squad next season with more different players? This story has been run by the Daily Mail. I think it was on. It went up on Thursday. So Tottenham Hotspur are ready to sell 4 first-team players in the summer to raise £170 million as Maurizio Pochettino looks to bolster their squad ahead of next season. So next season they will be in their new stadium at White Hart Lane. They will be looking to progress again. Okay. Tottenham Hotspur are preparing to raise around £170 million in funds by selling 4 of their first team players. Okay, so the Wembley tenants are looking to offload Danny Rose, the left back, Toby Alderweireld, Victor Wanyama, and Moussa Dembele, as long as they get the money they want for each player. It goes on to say Rose, Alderweireld, and Wanyama are all valued at 50 million, while Dembele, who only has 1 year left on his contract, is valued at 20 million. To say Tottenham want to finish the season with a flourish and claim Champions League qualification following a disappointing climax at the end of the season after going out despite being in the lead against Juventus, as well as losing to Manchester United in the semi-final of the FA Cup last weekend. Though the players have been key to Maurizio Pochettino's plans, Tottenham are willing to sacrifice them to help rejuvenate their squad next season when they move to their new ground, which is back where the old ground was, just in the same sort of area. So Pochettino has talked candidly about improving his side and changing their mentality to finally claiming silverware. So they haven't won anything for around 10 years. They last won the League Cup. And that is something that has been on the minds of the Tottenham fans and particularly pundits. So, left back Rose has been at Tottenham for more than a decade, having joined from Leeds in 2007. But the international, who criticised Spurs' transfer policy last summer, has only made 14 appearances this season, with Ben Davies being the first team regular left back. Alderweireld, meanwhile, moved to the capital from Atletico Madrid in 2015 after a successful loan spell with Southampton. He was a regular at the heart of the Spurs back four in the early months, but has only made 1 league appearance since October. Dembele has played 235 games for Tottenham after his move from Fulham. Wanyama was signed in 2016 by Pochettino from his former club, Southampton. So, I understand why they're going to try and get rid of Danny Rose. He's not really played for Spurs this season, and he said in that interview last summer that he wants to move up north, whether that's to Manchester United or whether that's to a different club, but he certainly wants to move up. Maybe he meant Liverpool or Manchester City. He has been really poor this season. Even for England, he's been really poor. And Ben Davies has done really well for Tottenham, and I understand why he's first choice. I think Danny Rose really fucked himself by doing that interview, and has really sort of tarnished himself. I think if that wouldn't have happened, then I think he'd be back in the first team. He did have that injury at the beginning of the season that was carried through from last season, but he's sort of just really poor. They're hoping to get 50 million. I can't see them getting 50 million because Kyle Walker, who was obviously a Tottenham player, cost 50 million, and he's had a great season this season, but he had a great season last season. If they were going to cash in on Danny Rose, they should have done it last year when he was in great form. Obviously, he was still injured, but they were probably. I don't think anyone would want to pay 50 million. The only club I can see paying 50 million for Danny Rose is probably Manchester United, who need a left back with the likes of Shaw and Ashley Young. I think Darmian can play there as well. But Ashley Young is obviously ageing, and Luke Shaw wants to leave, and Darmian looks to be on his way out as well. So they need a left back, and maybe that's who they'll go for. Toby Alderweireld has been very unhappy with his contract and things like that, which has led to him not being in the side at the moment, and certainly this year, calendar year 2018, he's not really featured at all. He's done really well. He's probably the best defender they have, but he's not featured at all. And I could see him go in. I think people would pay 50 million for him, and I think he'd get in any defence in the league. I think he'd get into Liverpool's defence, and was certainly Arsenal, Manchester United. He would Manchester City, Chelsea. He'd get into as well. And he could also go abroad. I mean, he'd have a good fist of it elsewhere, in such as PSG, Real Madrid, and Barcelona would all be interested in him. I think he's a great defender. But whether there's some sort of attitude problem there, I don't know, because he has been very unhappy with the contract situation. So Wanyama is another player they want 50 million for. Another player who's had a long-term injury. He hasn't really done much this season, and I don't think he's worth 50 million. I can't see anyone coming in for him at 50 million. I don't think he's that good. I really don't. I don't think, I can't see a City coming in for him, Liverpool coming in for him, Chelsea coming in for him, or Arsenal could do with him. But obviously I can't see him moving clubs from Tottenham to Arsenal. I really can't, because that's something that doesn't happen very often. And I don't think Daniel Levy would be keen to sell to the new Arsenal manager, whoever that may be. So I think they're really going to struggle to get rid of Victor Wanyama if they want 50 million for him. It's a lot of money for somebody that has been injured and has struggled to get into the side. But Moussa Dembele, for 20 million, who only has 1 year left on his contract, I think Moussa Dembele is a great player. He's had a great season. He has his faults. He doesn't seem to, score many or be in those positions even. But I think he's a really good player, and I think that is somebody that maybe Chelsea would be interested in, or Manchester United. I mean, 20 million in today's, market isn't much, and the problem is, if they don't get rid of him in the summer, then he can walk away for nothing next year. So he can walk away for nothing. He's 30, so they need to cash in before it's too late. Hopefully, for them, maybe they just get him another contract. I don't really see the point in selling them for such little, unless obviously he doesn't want to remain a Tottenham player and he wants to leave. I think he's a very good player, I really do, and I think that he'd be definitely worth the 20 million that they want for him. But I'm not sure if they have really thought this one through. I don't think that's a lot of money. The only thing I think of is they don't want to give him a new contract. It doesn't mention the likes of Harry Kane and Eriksen and Heung-min Son and Dele Alli, which I would say are the main players of the Tottenham squad. I mean, Harry Kane I think they wouldn't have finished in the top four without Harry Kane. Christian Eriksen has had an absolutely fantastic season. He made PFA Team of the Year, as did Jan Vertonghen, who also had a good year. Another Belgian player who plays centre-back. Heung-min Son's had a really good season, a surprising season, but I think he's very happy at Tottenham. So by the looks of this, Dembele and Victor Wanyama are both midfielders, with Danny Rose being a left-back and Alderweireld being a centre-back. So they might be looking to bring in more defensive-minded players. They do have Davinson Sanchez, who's had a great season after signing from Ajax in the summer, and they have Jan Vertonghen as well. They have Juan Foyth, who also plays centre-back as well, but I don't think he'd. I think they tried to replace Toby Alderweireld. I think they'd also tried to bring in a left back as well. But they wouldn't spend 50 million on a left back because that's not how they do things. So they would make profit on whoever they brought. They wouldn't spend all that money on a few players. They would bring in 4 or 5 players. And Pochettino, to his credit, does seem to get the best out of everyone. He's done really well with 90% of the squad. There's a few that haven't done so well. Lucas Moura hasn't really made much of an impact since he joined in January from PSG, and nor has Fernando Llorente, who joined in the summer from Swansea City. I think that they probably could do with a striker. Without Harry Kane, they sort of play Heung-min Son up front, but he's better off floating out on the wing. So I think that's what they do need, but who knows what they'll do. I think that they'll definitely sell Danny Rose. I think somebody will come in for Alderweireld. Dembele at 20 million is a bit of a steal. I can't see anybody wanting Victor Wanyama at 50 million. But whether he brings in, he says he wants to bring in winners, but to me, what they need is players that have been there and done that, and that would help them. Players that have got the experience of winning titles, winning cups, winning maybe even the Champions Leagues. People who have been there and helped their side at the time go on and lift a trophy is key. The thing is, Tottenham have never been big serial winners of anything, and it's why I'm so confused about I know they're a good side, they are. I really enjoy watching Tottenham play, but it seems like a lot of people think that it's not like they're part of the big six, but they're not a big six side. They have done exceptionally well to be where they are under Pochettino. Pochettino has done so well with Spurs, and it's really underrated. So since they last won a trophy, they have finished 11th, 8th, 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 5th. Okay, so under Pochettino they have finished 3rd, 2nd, and probably 4th, which is much better. The last time they finished 3rd in the league was 1990, and then the last time they finished 2nd in any league was in 1963. So that is quite a long time. The last time they won the league was in 1961, which is such a long time ago. So they won it in 2008, and they waited another 9 years before that to win the League Cup again. And then it was another 8 years, and they won the FA Cup. And then before that, it was another 9 years, and they won the League Cup. So it's not like that they go on consistently winning things, because they haven't. They win one every 9 or 10 years. So they're due one next season, but it's hardly like they win loads of trophies. It's hardly like they're Manchester United and now they're winning nothing. How it was under Van Gaal for a bit and David Moyes. They don't go on winning trophies all the time. They don't. In my lifetime, they've picked up 2 trophies. So, I'm 22. So, that's one every 11 years. So, it's not like they've been a hugely successful, team at any point. They've done really well to get where they are. It wasn't like yes, they were, mostly Europa League. So before Pochettino came in, Europa League, Europa League, Europa League, Europa League, Europa League, Champions League, nothing, UEFA Cup, UEFA Cup, UEFA Cup. So that is the last 10 years before Pochettino came in. They qualified for the Champions League once under Harry Redknapp. So, and they've done it, every year. They've done it for the last 2 seasons. They're going to do it again. So, since the Champions League, since the start of the Premier League, the only time they've been in the Champions League before Pochettino was in 2010-11. So I think that he is overachieving. He's done a great job, and I think that's what people tend to forget. He's made a club that doesn't spend a ridiculous amount of money on players into, one of the big 6, and that's what people forget. It's not like they've been up there forever. It's not like Manchester City, where they've spent a hell of a lot of money getting there, or Manchester United, who have been up there for years, or Chelsea spent a lot of money to get up there, Liverpool with their history, or whatever. They haven't been a club knocking on the door for years and years and years. It took Manchester City a long time to win anything. If we quickly go onto their page, it took them a long time to get any sort of silverware. Sheikh Mansour and the City Football Group took over in 2008. So 2008, so they finished 9th, 10th, 5th and 3rd before finishing 1st in 2012 and winning the title. So that is, and that is a lot of money spent. And Pochettino has taken them better than that in his first 2 seasons, than all of the money that Sheikh Mansour and the Abu Dhabi group have spent. So I don't understand why it's such a travesty that they haven't won anything. They are improving every season. They're getting the best out of their players. They're turning young English players into great players, such as Harry Kane, Dele Alli. Harry Winks was doing a great job until he got injured. Kyle Walker, obviously, who has now left. Danny Rose was doing great last season. So I think it's very harsh that they're all having a massive, they never win anything when they've never won anything before. And he's doing a great job, and just give him time. It's not his fault what happened years and years and years ago. It's not his fault that they went 8 years without a trophy, because he wasn't there. He's only been there for 3 seasons, and he is getting them higher, and he's concreted them as a Champions League side, which is a very hard thing to do. Chelsea are out of the top 6 at the moment, as are Arsenal, their rivals. Last season, they finished 2nd behind Chelsea, and they finished higher than Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester United. And then the season before that, when they finished 3rd, losing on the final day, and dropped to 3rd, they finished above Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool. So I don't understand why it's such a it's such a problem for pundits that he's not been successful yet. He's obviously going to be successful. He plays a nice style of football, and he hasn't got there quite yet, but he has turned things round. He really has turned things round, and they're getting better and they're improving. He came in 2014. They finished 6th that year. They have not finished 6th. They finished 5th, 3rd, 2nd, 4th. So they're clearly improving, and they're doing much better than what was expected. And they are on a tight budget. They don't spend much money. They try to break even, and that's what they're doing. If Pochettino had the money that Mourinho had, or maybe even Pep Guardiola, or to a certain extent Jurgen Klopp, then maybe he'd do a better job. But I don't think it's as bad as the pundits are making out, and I think it's very harsh that they're even saying it. I mean, it'd be nice for him to win a trophy, and hopefully he does in a few years. But he's still a great manager, and and that's what they need to be reminded of. He's taken a club to higher than they've finished for over 20 years. So I think he's doing a fine job, and that's just how it is. So let me know your thoughts down below on who you think they should sell, and more importantly, who you think they should bring in. Should they bring in another striker? Should they bring in more defenders? Should they bring in somebody a bit more creative to help Christian Eriksen? Let me know down below, and thank you so much for watching the video. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you soon, and thank you for watching.